Marquette. Marquette used to be a castle. So Michigan was always heavily populated with the organic people on the land. Michigan is a very instrumental site in our history, right? We got um, partial cities under Lake Michigan, great cities in the bottom of Lake Erie that was once above water that ended up, for whatever reason, being sunk. Um, so, yeah, then you had the Ohio Indians. They were mostly the Browns that was from the Ohio Valley. It was a huge, huge fucking tribe. That's why you meet so many different people last name Brown. That was like a ginormous family clan. And some of the colors, green, um, white, were affiliates from for different reasons. Some was named that for the color of the textures of their blankets. They might have made a blanket that was primarily white for whatever reason, for ceremonial purpose, and then they would carry the name White as a last name. But then you have those that came from Europe with the last name White that indicated something different, right? So when we're looking at the tribes, most of your mascots from sporting teams is named after tribes, no matter what the name of it is. Like the Piston is named Pistons after the piston that goes in the engine as an auto worker city. But the piston is also a metaphor for horsepower. And this is why some of the Detroit Pistons paraphernalia have a horse head in the logo, because the piston, though it represents the part of an engine, and some of the old piston paraphernalia had a literal piston, the piston is a metaphor for horsepower. And if you got good pistons, you're going to generate good horsepower. So we always had tribes up here. The Seminoles is an admixture of all of the tribes across the land who went to fight the Spanish Armada at one point, the French and the English, in what we call the southeastern United States region, Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, going into Arkansas and Alabama. So they also were settling from those areas, and they called them Seminoles because it was an admixture of tribes as far away as the Polynesian Islands and Alaska, going west and south, than tribes coming as far away in South America as southern Venezuela or Brazil. So we had tribes coming from everywhere, and because we was an admixture of so many different tribes fighting to keep these people from occupying the territory, we picked up the name Seminole, which means mixed breed or half breed. In the Spanish were the ones who called us the Seminoles. Let me see. Cherokee is not an original name. It's a name that was used as what you call a concealer. The tribal name, if you look up the etymology, is going to start with an I and not a CH. This is how you know that when they changed it, they didn't follow Grimm's Law of Grammar in the transliteration. They just gave you a whole different name. That's because the Cherokee was the ones used to conceal the Dawes Road Indians. It was one of the tribal distinctions used that was created for Native Americans, not the organics of the land. So this is what they was doing. They was replacing names to confuse the bloodlines. The Golden Dragon clans of Japan, that's the family of Anu that got trapped on Earth. It's not a, it's not a lot really to say about them, but almost any of the emperors who call themselves an emperor of Japan will trace their lineage back to what they call the golden dragon in the sky. And that golden dragon is the Asian symbol for Anu, the golden father. And the Anu is the tribe that currently hold the highest concentration of Anu's blood on Earth, and they in Japan. So I hope that answered your question. That's exactly why you have Cleveland Browns. The Shoshone are today condensed down to the last name of Shaw. The Shaw Indians came to fight in the Seminole Wars just like all the rest of us, and they was originally a little more Washita mound builders from the Mississippi Delta region going into Louisiana, and they were one of the major tribes on the land over here. The culture is, they got people from the culture that write about the culture. All you have to do is start reading up on it, and you will find out more than you could possibly imagine. Kilpatrick was the designation of the ones who came from Scotia, the sister of Scotta. They called them Kilpatrick because of what St. Patrick was doing. He was trying to kill them. And when they came over here, they was telling the natives that St. Patrick was killing them. And they called them, they thought they was telling them that their name was Kilpatrick. It's funny you would mention that. Kwame is what made me investigate that name from Detroit. And he was one of the chiefs that they shouldn't have been able to. He did that to himself, though. Yep, the tribes of Australia is a admixture of Inky and Anu's children on Earth. The family name Edwards. I haven't done the background on Edwards, but I did run across that in some paperwork before, but I didn't do the research to dig into the name. The 8-year-old should be learning, you should get an IQ reading program. By now she's starting to read. You want to get her into speed reading. Stop trying to teach her shit. The only thing you should be teaching her is speed reading, and let her read what she wants out the library, right? And she will learn faster that way than you trying to force her to learn. At 8 years old, focus on teaching her to speed read and focus her on math. It's a math program called Mega Math that teaches math, accelerated math. There's one called Mega Reading that teaches accelerating reading. And then you got Mega Memory that teaches memory techniques. But all that stuff is old that I just named. There is expanded and updated versions of all three of those things under different names. The word back on the Three Kings is keep watching. No, I'm answering the questions in the comments, sweetie. I didn't get you this time, but I'm gonna try to get you next time. Hmm. Thanks, my man, genres. Uh, RG Road Gang later today. We'll see. Um, I thought I wish I'd seen him in there. All right, peeps. I know y'all like to hear me running my chats, but I'm getting tired now. So, um, we're gonna take some callers next time. Hopefully. All of that mortgage shit is fraud. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all that shit is fraudulent. They are designed for you to never end up with property in the end. The whole system is designed that way. The tax system, you getting taxed so much, 80% of your money is going into taxes, right? So we getting taxed into oblivion. So we got to do away with that shit. So it's certain stuff that the government's supposed to be responsible for, and the maintenance of the government is responsibility of the collective families on the land. Figure it out after that. All right, peeps. Been good talking to y'all. Love, peace, soul, rock and roll, and hair grease, and all that shit to my niece. Uh, keep it up. Push the flip. And free Larry Hoover. The men need to be free just because it's the right thing to do. No other reason. So I'm gonna do some invites. Title of this one is Blood In, Blood Out. Um, Severing blood oaths and soul contracts the correct way. So I'm gonna do some invites to this and get this party started. So first, when I do these invites, um, we make soul contracts, a lot of us, because we don't know who we are. um, if you one of certain group of people, you got a certain strain in your DNA, and you making a agreement with somebody. You're not just making that agreement here in the 3D world all the time. Sometimes we make these agreements in the realm of the spirit. So I'm gonna do a couple more of these invites. I ain't gonna do a lot of them. I just want to get some people in here. If y'all have any questions, because this is a very critical subject at this era, because we have to get rid of a lot of soul contracts and a lot of oaths and agreements made in our lifetime, in some cases multiple lifetimes, depending on the person and the position they play in your life. I'm gonna do a couple more of these invites right quick. We're gonna talk about soul contracts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, that's enough. Alright. So, the soul contract, it's a crazy thing. This is how you can accidentally create a soul contract. If you have what they call grail blood, which most people on Earth should have at least a drop, um, and you ask somebody something, or not ask them, tell them that you're going to do something 3 times, you just made a soul contract with them if you have the grail blood. It's the same as they making a pact with God when they make a pact with certain people. If it's a grail king and you accuse them of doing something to you 3 times, you just made a soul contract, and whatever you accused them of, now they can't control it. All they can do is try to minimize the situation you created by the false allegation. So 3 false allegations makes a soul contract of condemnation to a grail king. So it's basically like putting them in the worst possible position you can by falsely accusing them 3 times. It has to happen, and it has to happen to the person that's falsely accusing them. If you make a promise, see, everybody get lost up with this word promise. The promise is a soul state guarantee. I mean, you stake your soul on it, and you guarantee you're going to follow through with it at the cost of your soul. So when you do a false promise, you basically surrendering your right to your soul, and you don't even know it. And that's why you have a promised land and a holy land. They're 2 different things. Because God gave the promised land to a specific group of people. America is the promised land, and sub-Saharan Africa is the holy land. So we can go into how do we get into blood oaths unknowingly. In this modern era where people like to do adornments, piercings, tattoos, and things of this nature, the physical vessel can be used as a magical implement in order to facilitate what you would call a manifestation of an agreement. So if you do anything that causes blood to be shed at, like for instance, 5 football players might make a pact to always meet up somewhere, and then they might get a tattoo to commemorate it. They made a blood oath. 2 best friends chicks might skip high school one day and swear to always be best friends, and they get tattoos. Even when they fall out, they always find themselves best friends after that because they made that blood oath. It's a contract. When a guy and a girl go into a relationship, getting piercings and tattoos to commemorate the beginning of the relationship, they don't even know they just got married. That is a soul contract and a blood oath, along with an agreement before God without you going through all of the ceremonial BS. The tattoo is the blood oath. The image, as in my case, my tattoo here is my tribal totem. And for a Grail King to allow somebody to tattoo their tribal totem on them, that's a big fucking deal. That's a big deal. Because whatever his rank is in the clan, whoever, if it's of the opposite sex, she is equally ranked with him. The same rank. Except he is the masculine, she the feminine. If it's the other way around, he evenly ranked with her. If she's the feminine, he's the masculine. But the power position is the same, the level. The execution is always different because the women in the matriarchal culture is the lawgiver, and the man execute the law. So we get into agreements and soul contracts um, without knowing, because we wasn't woke, all the way woke. We wasn't really aware of what we were doing, so we got caught in a contract. So we need to know how to get under those contracts. Now those contracts or those agreements, blood rights, and soul contracts, they all have